work with my best friends every day.
Right.
I have the best job in the world because I made it.
Right.
I get to do whatever I want. We're throwing off a ton of cash so we can get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
I want now to put my cultural fingerprint on the fabric of life.
Right.
And quite frankly, you have to make money to say this, and the most arrogant thing I'll ever say is, I don't really care about money anymore. I want to...
You got enough not to care about it.
We have enough not to care about it. And so when people offer you $1 billion, I hang out with a lot of older CEO types because it makes me feel much better about myself.
Well, but they also want to learn from you.
Well, and they also say the same thing. The saddest day of my life is when I sold my company.
Really?
And so for me, I'm having a good time. I love my job. I work with my best friends.
I can tell you just from my experience in terms of the kind of people I interview across the board. Steve Jobs.
Sure.
Steve Jobs felt like his most important contribution was not the iPhone or the iPad. It was Apple.
Sure.
He built Apple.
Yeah.
And that was what Warren Buffett.
Mm-hmm.
Berkshire Hathaway is his work of art.
Yeah.
And that's the way people feel.
Yeah.
It's a creative thing in which they give everything they have, and they try to bring, people that they respect, care about, and put them on a mission. And the mission is, let's do something, that brings all of us both psychic and real income. If you can find that formula,
exactly.
You're halfway there. And the tragedy is, too few of us have an opportunity to do that, and don't have the kind of sort of exhilaration, that both winning and losing brings you.
I think if you talk to Bill Gates or Warren Buffett and talk about money buying you happiness, they're going to give their money away. If you look at the foundation, what they're doing is tremendous.
Well, I just did a profile of 60 for Bill, and he really, the joy that it brings him to believe that he can eradicate polio is much bigger than any piece of software that he ever sold a gazillion copies of.
Well, we've worked with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We've worked with Bono, and inspirational, giving all their money and time and effort to do good things. And at that point, you're like, money is the modern day report card, but once you've got that A, let's go on.
Yeah. There is also this, what can they learn from you?
Well, I think that every generation has its own rallying points, its own language, and you can't retrofit. And what people are trying to do now is retrofit. And I say this a lot, but it's true. It's the basis of what we do, is young people today have been marketed to since they were newborns, because cartoons are made to sell cereal. So as a consequence, they've developed the most sophisticated bulk detectors of all time. And the only way to circumvent that bulk detector is to not bulk. So if something is created in a boardroom, if something is created by consensus, if something is created by a bunch of baby boomers to say, you know what, it'll be cool, we'll do skateboarding, and then that's going to sell the thing, it will not work. And that means that the people who shoot it have to be young. The people who cut it have to be young. The hosts have to be young. The language has to. And that sounds very simple, but it isn't, because no one's going to give a 24-year-old or 22-year-old or an 18-year-old kid $1 million and say, okay, go make something for me. No one. And who's never made anything before. It goes against every sort of, status quo way of making things that we have today. And I think that that's what has to happen, because it's, college kids when they go to play football in the NFL, they always say the same thing, which is, it's so fast, the game is so fast. What's happening now is so fast, it's crazy. Nobody knows what's happening with Facebook. Nah, it doesn't really work. Boom, it works, go. Twitter, it's kind of cool. It's the best marketing tool in the world. And unless you understand Facebook, Twitter, unless you understand, how socials like Reddit are driving traffic, unless you understand traffic, unless you understand activation, unless you understand platform, everyone was investing platform, money into platform, but no one was saying, well, what are we going to fill that pipe with? Everyone has rights issues. Hulu has rights issues. YouTube has rights issues. Everybody has rights. And so no one was creating like 1,000 hours, 2,000 hours of premium content to fill that pipe. And we said, okay, well, everyone's spending money over there, but eventually they're going to come over here. And now that it has, it's a great time to be a content creator, but it's moved so fast. And I don't think big companies with hundreds of thousands of employees can move that fast, because it just, HR is a problem, hiring is a problem, firing is a problem,
Yeah, we know, and you just suggested Facebook, Twitter, all kinds of social media, are having a political impact as well as commercial
Sure,
impact.
yes.
What kind of political impact do you think Vice can have?
Well, I think that we are offering a political voice, and I think if you look at Twitter, for example, or Facebook, they were given a lot of credit for Arab Spring, and they were tools that were used by young people to overthrow regimes. Vice is
And to come together and show power in numbers.
exactly,
And the social devices allowed them to come together
and to communicate.
and to